Patriots 24, Jaguars 20. This was an AFC title game as much lost by Jacksonville's incompetence and lack of boldness as it was won by the Patriots' clutch play and attack mode with the game on the line. When two teams are evenly matched, as these two were, you cannot commit 98 yards in penalties, miss open receivers in the shadow of your own goal line and try to go conservative in the final quarter on both offense and defense. The Pats made the critical plays with the game on the line because they were better, bolder and smarter. The Jags did not, because when the moments came to seize the game, they were found wanting. You cannot convert a critical 3rd and 7 and waste it with a delay of game penalty coming out of a timeout. You cannot allow 47 yards in penalties when you have the Pats backed up to their 15. Because the Jags cracked under pressure, they effectively were beaten by touchdown drives of 38 and 30 yards. Throw in poor special teams play, conservative play calling on both sides of the ball and deadly penalties, and it was lights out. Quarterback Tom Brady ignored a 12-stitch cut and the pressure of the Jags' top-rated pass defense to lead two scoring drives in the final 556, overcoming a 10-point fourth-quarter deficit by staying calm and throwing accurately. Sound familiar? He started the game 6 for 6, proving his hand was much ado about nothing. Brady had several early overthrows but mostly was dead-on, even when he missed. He had trouble finding tight end Rob Gronkowski but made one perfect throw to him for his only catch, a 21-yard reception. In the fourth quarter, the Jags went to soft zones to protect the lead instead of the man coverages they effectively ran earlier. It was a fatal error criticized by cornerbacks A.J. Bowie and Jalen Ramsey. Brady riddled the zones in the fourth quarter for 124 of his 290 passing yards. He was calm on a late developing flea flicker throw that finally broke open, finding Philip Dorsett with a 31-yard throw over linebacker Myles Jack. He found Danny Amendola for 21 yards on a key 3rd and 18 by picking apart a soft zone, and earlier found him on a 4th and 1 on a wheel route when Brady knew running back James White would pick off corner Aaron Colvin, leaving linebacker Telvin Smith in a no-chance mismatch. The game-winning touchdown pass to Amendola was another perfect throw, high and outside across the back of the end zone on a perfect read. Amendola made a great catch, but it took a great throw to make it happen. Running back C-. The running game was stymied by the Jags front, which gave the backs little open space. Throws to the backs also were taken away. Dion Lewis was not a factor, gaining 34 yards on 9 carries and catching 7 passes for a mere 32 yards. He also lost a fumble. Rex Burkhead and James White were equally underwhelming. Burkhead was not a factor running or receiving, and neither was White, who did make a perfect pick on Aaron Colvin trying to cover Danny Amendola on that 4th and 1 conversion. Lewis' big moment was sealing the win with an 18-yard sweep on 3rd down that was aided by a lead block from fullback James Devlin. Some of the lack of production resulted from passing frequently after halftime, but there was little running room, and the backs made nobody miss. Wide receiver Aminu's Danny Amendola was the most reliable option for Tom Brady, upping his game after Rob Gronkowski went out. He had 7 catches against 4 different defenders, including 2 acrobatic grabs. The final touchdown in the back of the end zone required a smart read, a leap and balletic toe tap of both feet. There was no margin for error. His read and route on his 21-yard gain on 3rd and 18 was a clinic. He also caught a backward pass from Brady and threw a crossfield pass to Dion Lewis for 20 yards. That play turned disastrous when Lewis had the ball stolen from him, but don't blame Amendola. Brandon Cooks had a 100-yard day and also drew 2 interference calls that added another 68 yards. Had he not also dropped 2 long balls, this would have been a remarkable performance. On his 31-yard catch on the first drive, Cooks simply ran by linebacker Telvin Smith, a speed mismatch Brady saw before the snap. Philip Dorsett only saw 3 snaps but made 1 count when he shook off Myles Jack's coverage to haul in Brady's 31-yard flea flicker. With the running game dead and Gronk taking aspirin, these guys provided all the offense. Tight end Rob Gronkowski was tightly covered early and unavailable to Tom Brady. When he finally got free late in the second quarter, he was blown up by safety Barry Church with a helmet-to-helmet hit. That was an old-school football play now outlawed by New Age rules, but it resulted in the best penalty Jacksonville's ever taken, a 15-yarder that removed Gronkowski from the game even though it fueled the Patriots' first touchdown. Dwayne Allen had only played one snap to that point and wasn't a factor all day except on Dion Lewis' 18-yard run that iced the game. He made a tremendous double-team block with tackle Nate Solder, then slid downfield and took out Telvin Smith to give Lewis the room necessary to convert a 3rd and 9 and end the game. Offensive line B. Considering the dominance of Jacksonville's pass rush during the regular season, 55 sacks, this group did well, allowing only 3, although Tom Brady's nimbleness prevented more. Defensive end Dante Fowler blew by right tackle Cameron Fleming's outside shoulder on 1 sack, and he got a second on a relentless rush when the coverage was good and gave him time to spin away. Fleming lost his balance and fell. The third resulted from defensive tackle Marcel Darius bull rushing past right guard Shaq Mason. Darius also overwhelmed Mason on 1 run, throwing him into Dion Lewis for a 1-yard loss. Mason also missed a pickup of Miles Jack on a bull rush, and the linebacker slammed into Brady as he launched an incompletion. Left tackle Nate Solder gave up a hit and a pressure but was mostly sound. Center David Andrews and left guard Joe Thuney were pretty solid in interior pass protection but had difficulty getting movement in the run game. They were not alone, as the Pats averaged only 2.4 yards on 19 carries. Defensive line B plus end Trey Flowers was immense, finishing with 9 tackles, a sack, a tipped pass and a forced fumble. The longer the game went, the more impactful he became. He did a good job on the edge and fought off tight end Marcel Lewis to jump up and bat down a 3rd down pass he nearly intercepted. Tackles Lawrence Guy and Ricky Jean-Francois were stout against the runs, especially in the second half when the Pats jammed 7 men in the box on 1st down and challenged the Jags to throw. They threw on 1st down effectively early in the game, confusing the Pats' defense, but in the second half they went conservative, and the defense swallowed up running back Leonard Fournette. Guy had a sack when aided by a safety blitz and 2 run stuffs. Tackle Adam Butler had a coverage sack but played only in pass rush situations 12 snaps. Tackle Malcolm Brown often was on the bottom of the pile, getting little credit for the dirty work he does against the run. Overall, this group shut down the run in the second half and turned up the pressure on quarterback Blake Bortles with the assistance of corner and safety blitzes. Linebacker C. James Harrison had an up-and-down day. He blew a coverage in the flat on running back Corey Grant, resulting in a 24-yard completion, and lost the edge on T.J. Yeldon's 12-yard run on a 2nd and 13 that kept a second-quarter Jags drive A. Harrison had a late bull rush that pressured Blake Bortles, beating tackle Cam Robinson clean, but had more down moments than up while playing a season-high 32 snaps. Kyle Van Noy had a sack and a pass breakup and made a great fill on a screen pass for a 3-yard loss. On the downside, he got blown over by Leonard Fournette on his 4-yard touchdown run. Fournette bowled through the A-gap and drove Van Noy backward. He's done that to a lot of guys. Landon Roberts played more than usual because the base defense often was in use to stop the run, which is his forte. Conversely, Marquis Flowers' time was greatly reduced, 18 snaps. His most memorable moment wasn't a good one when he couldn't stay with Yeldon on a crossing route on 3rd and 8, allowing a 9-yard gain and 1st down. Defensive back B minus cornerbacks Stephon Gilmore and Malcolm Butler had considerable problems. Gilmore, however, knocked away a critical 4th down throw from receiver Dede Westbrook with a leaping, only-handed deflection. But he was beaten by receiver Keelan Cole for 11 yards and on a back shoulder throw to Westbrook for 29 on the final drive that caused Pats fans some angst. Butler had some positive moments, but he and Eric Rowe were burned on a swing pass to Corey Grant for 15 yards. Rowe gave up a 27-yard up-and-out on which receiver Alan Hearns completely turned him around. Butler was lucky when Blake Bortles missed a wide-open receiver Marquise Lee on 1st and 10 from the Jags' 10 for what would have been a 16-yard game and an impactful play in the 3rd quarter. Tom Brady would have stuck that throw. Patrick Chung was solid against the run and stuck his nose into some hard places but was late reacting to Lewis on a corner route for a 4-yard TD. Chung was peering into the backfield expecting the run and got caught flat-footed. This group held up in the end but also allowed Bortles to throw for 293 yards. Bortles missed several key throws because he simply isn't as accurate as even a sorry-thumbed Brady. Thankfully, special teams aminus the Patriots finished 3rd overall in Rick Gosselin's annual special teams rankings and D up to that billing. During the season, their opponent's average starting field position was 23.3 yards away from the goal line. Sunday it was 23, including a key moment in the fourth quarter when the Jags' Corey Grant unwisely was tackled at his 16 on a kickoff return by Matthew Slater and Janio Grissom. Soon after, forced to punt from their own territory, the Jags' Brad Nortman kicked 141 yards to midfield, but Danny Amendola brought it back 20 yards to the Jacksonville 30. That critical swing in field position was keyed by smart, effective special teams play by the Pats. 4 of the Jags' final 6 drives began on their 10, 9, 16 and 10-yard lines. 3 came after Ryan Allen punts. Allen dropped 3 of 6 punts inside the 20 with none returnable. He flipped field position on the Jags in the second half, a critical part of the victory. Steven Gostkowski made his only field goal attempt and 3 extra points, but it was his kickoffs that helped control field position behind strong coverage. Coaching often, the game was on the line. Bill Belichick and his staff trumped Doug Marrone and the Jags. Early in the game, Jacksonville had great success throwing on first down. The Jags threw 6 times for 76 yards and ran 9 times for 35 in the first half. But in the second half they went conservative to try and sit on the lead, running 10 times on first down for only 25 yards and passing only 5 times for 32. Why? The Pats began putting 7 in the box and sometimes 8 on first down, daring Blake Bortles to throw, but the Jags seldom did and ended up repeatedly in long yardage situations that cost them the game. The Pats also used corner and safety blitzes 7 times in the second half to rattle Bortles. While Jacksonville went conservative when things got pressurized, the Patriots went to gimmick plays like a flea flicker and a double pass. They don't always work, but they did often enough to remind us that victory goes to the bold. Despite having stymied the Pats' running game and knocked Rob Gronkowski out, the Jags played in 2 soft zones in the fourth quarter despite having had the bulk of their defensive success earlier with more aggressive coverage. The result was death from 1,000 paper cuts. The Pats pulled out all the stops to win. That's what a great coach does. Head of the class Danny Amendola 7 receptions, 2 TDs, a critical 3rd and 18 conversion and a 20-yard punt return to set up the winning score. Tom Brady again was terrific, leading a fourth-quarter, game-winning drive for the 54th time. Stephon Gilmore didn't have a great day, but he made a great play on 4th down when it counted most. Back of the pack Gian Lewis allowing Miles Jack to rip the ball out of his hands nearly cost the Pats the game. Patrick Chung he got toasted by Marcy Lewis for a 2-yard touchdown and never came close to recovering. Shaq Mason got completely undressed and nearly got Tom Brady killed on a sack by massive Marcel Darius.